Doge's Palace in Venice, Italy. Doge's Palace was probably built between the 10th and 11th centuries on the basis of a fortified central core. This nucleus was constituted with a central body with towers in the corners forming one of the masterpieces of the Venetian Gothic. In the 12th century, the first restructuring was carried out with the Duke Sebastiano Tiziani, who transformed the fort into an elegant palace. Later in 1200 a new expansion was realized. It is a masterpiece of Gothic architecture. The Doge's Palace was basically similar to the White House. It was the seat of the Venetian government and the place where new Doges were elected for life. The most important decisions about Venice's laws, rulers, trade, and empire were taken in the Doge's Palace. And few were allowed entry to the heart of the government unless they were a member of one of Venice's noble families or a civil servant. Fortunately today, Venice's secret quarters of power are open to small groups of visitors, but it's essential to book in advance to gain entry to this most private and fascinating world. Gothic architecture is a style of architecture that was popular in Europe during the High and Late Middle Ages. It involved the use of materials that allowed the weight of the roof to be counterbalanced by buttresses that are located outside the building. Doing this gives greater height and space for windows. It also utilizes stained glass in the rose window in order to bring about light, color, and beauty to the interior part of the house. The architectural exuberance of the palace is the first thing that meets the eyes of an onlooker. The building is purely Gothic, however, there is a huge influence of Venetian art, thus, making it Venetian Gothic style. The height of Doge's Palace? It is unknown as it has been burnt down many times. Based on estimate, it would be at least 12 meters tall at its peak. The main entrance to the palace is called the Porta De La Carta, and this is the link between St. Mark's Basilica and Doge's Palace. The entrance was created in the mid-1400s by two brothers called Bartolomeo and Giovanni Bon. There are many buildings that have attempted to replicate the architecture of Doge's Palace, especially in the UK. Examples of these include the Wedgwood Institute in Burslem, Templeton's Carpet Factory in Glasgow, the Wool Exchange in Bradford, and the Scottish National Portrait Gallery in Edinburgh. The Doge's Palace was the centre of the Venetian Republic. Almost from the birth of Venice, an elected Doge or president ruled over the city and made his home overlooking the Venetian lagoon. Originally the palace started out as a fortress surrounded by canals, but as the Venetian Republic grew, it was rebuilt to become the first and finest building visitors saw as they arrived from the sea. Doge's Palace has been part of the Venetian Museums network since 1997. The Fondazione Musei Civici di Venezia has managed this since 2008. The palace is the property of the Italian state, and in 1923 they entrusted the management of the building to the Venetian municipality so it could be run as a museum. The wing overlooking the lagoon is the oldest part of the palace. The corners of this are decorated with sculptures from the 14th century. It is believed that these sculptures are the work of several artists, including Filippo Calendario, Antonio Bregno, and Matteo Reverdi. Doge's Palace houses the largest oil painting in the world. The Doge's Palace is packed with wonderful artworks, but none rival the scale and grandeur of the painting that hangs in the Hall of the Great Council, Tintoretto's heavenly masterpiece, Paradise. No room in the Doge's Palace was bigger or more important than this one. When the council was in session, the hall had to accommodate all the 1,800 noble citizens entitled to vote. And all decisions made by the Republic were discussed here, so when the hall required redecorating after a fire, a contest was held to appoint an artist of suitable stature. Measuring an enormous 22 by 9 meters, 74 by 30 feet, Tintoretto's oil painting is the largest in the world, a spectacular sight filling the entire wall behind the Doge's throne with a seating mass of around 500 saintly figures ascending to heaven.